talk about the concept electron transport system, which is also known as ETS. Electron transport system is a step of aerobic respiration which occur after Krebs cycle. You all know that the first step of aerobic respiration is glycolysis. After that is oxidative decarboxylation. After that is Krebs cycle, and after the Krebs cycle is electron transport system or ETS. And it is only in this step there is a use of atmospheric oxygen. In the other three steps, that is glycolysis, oxidative decarboxylation, Krebs cycle, literally there is no use of atmospheric oxygen in all those three steps, and it is only in the electron transport system there is a use of atmospheric oxygen. That too, in the last step of ETS there is a use of atmospheric oxygen. What is this ETS then? ETS or electron transport system, as the name indicates, is a metabolic pathway in which there is a transport of electron, or electrons are passed from one carrier to another carrier. Or in other words, electron transport system is a series of reaction where there is a transport or passing of electron from one carrier to another carrier. What is this carrier then? Carrier is nothing but the organic compound, or mostly the protein, which will transport the electron from one molecule to another molecule. Say for example, A is an electron carrier, and this A has an electron in it, and this A is ready to donate the electron to the next carrier, that is B. So, A, which has an electron and which is ready to donate the electron, is called as reducing agent or a reductant. And B is a one which is ready to accept the electron. So the carrier which is ready to accept the electron is called as oxidizing agent or oxidant. So A, which has an electron, now it donated the electron to B, or A get oxidized and it donated the electron to B. So now the B received the electron, or it get reduced. So B has no electron in it. So B has no electron in it, and it is ready to donate that electron to next carrier, that is C. That's why B is now reducing agent or reductant which is ready to donate the electron to C. C is now ready to receive the electron. That's why C is known as oxidizing agent or oxidant. Now this B, which has an electron and which is ready to donate the electron, has donated or get oxidized, and it donated the electron to C. So thereby C received that electron and it become reduced. So now C has electron and it is ready to donate that electron to the next carrier molecule. So that's how electron is transported from one carrier to another carrier. So there is an involvement of reductant and oxidant, so through which the electron is transported from one carrier to another carrier. Where these carriers are present then? These carriers are present in the inner mitochondrial membrane. So, electron transport system or ETS takes place in the mitochondria. And you know that in mitochondria it has a outer membrane and inner membrane. This inner membrane is thrown into numerous foldings known as a cristae. Inner to the cristae is a matrix, and there is a space between the outer membrane and the inner membrane, and that space is called as intermembrane space. So these carriers are present in the inner mitochondrial membrane. As you can see in this diagram, this is the inner mitochondrial membrane where there is a carriers, this is the intermembrane space, and this is a matrix. So carriers are present or embedded in the inner mitochondrial membrane. From where these carriers get the electron or they receive the electron? It is from the reducing agent like NADH and FADH2. So, you know that the NADH and FADH2 is produced in the glycolysis, oxidative decarboxylation, and from the Krebs cycle. So, NADH and FADH2, which are produced in the previous step, now enter electron transport system or ETS. So, these carriers receive the electron from NADH and FADH2. There are many carriers which are embedded in the inner mitochondrial membrane, and they are grouped into mainly four complexes. They are complex 1, complex 2, complex 3 and the complex 4. Each complex consisting of several carriers. So we'll discuss all the four complexes one by one. First one is complex 1, which is also known as NADH dehydrogenase complex. So this is a complex 1 which is called as NADH dehydrogenase complex, and it consisting of mainly two types of carrier, that is FMN and FES carrier. As you can see in this diagram, this is a FMN, that is flavin mononucleotide, and iron sulfur cluster. So there are several iron sulfur cluster. So these two carrier group together to form a complex 1 or NADH dehydrogenase complex. Next one is complex 2, which is also called as succinate dehydrogenase complex. As you can see in this diagram, this is a complex 2 which has FAD plus, which is produced in the Krebs cycle, and FES. So there are several FES clusters. So these two group together to form complex 2, that is succinate dehydrogenase complex. Next one is complex 3, which is also called as cytochrome B-C1 complex. As the name indicates, it consisting of two types of cytochrome, that is cytochrome B and cytochrome C1. Along with that, it consisting of iron sulfur cluster. So these three carriers group together to form a complex 3 or cytochrome BC1 complex. Next one is complex 4, which is known as cytochrome C oxidase complex. So it consisting of again two types of cytochrome, that is cytochrome A and the cytochrome A3. Each cytochromes have copper center in it. So these two cytochromes group together to form complex 4 or cytochrome C oxidase complex. So that is about the 4 complex which is present in the inner mitochondrial membrane. Apart from that, there are two mobile carrier or soluble electron carrier, which is known as ubiquinone and cytochrome C. What is this mobile carrier? Not this. So mobile carrier, mobile means moving. So these mobile carriers are the one which will diffuse through the membrane, and they carry the electron from one complex to another complex. So these 4 complexes are transmembrane protein, or they are embedded in the membrane. But these mobile carriers are not embedded. They are freely moving, or they can move freely through the membrane. They diffuse through the membrane and they transport the electron from one complex to another complex. An example for that is ubiquinone and cytochrome C. As you can see in this diagram, this is a ubiquinone, which is a mobile carrier, and this ubiquinone is connecting complex 1 and complex 3. Again, it also receives the electron from complex 2. So, it connects a complex 2 and complex 3. So, ubiquinone will transport the electron from complex 1 to complex 3, as well as it will transport the electron from complex 2 to complex 3. So, by diffusing through the membrane, it will transport the electron between the complex. Another one is cytochrome C. As you can see, this is a cytochrome C which is present between the complex 3 and complex 4. So this mobile carrier, that is cytochrome C, will transport the electron from complex 3 to complex 4. So these are the component of electron transport system. Now we'll study how exactly the electron is transported between different carrier in the electron transport system. In the beginning, the complex 1 receives or get the electron from the reducing agent, that is NADH, or NADH will donate the electron to FMN carrier of the complex 1. Meanwhile, this NADH get oxidized to NAD+. So NADH, upon donating 2 electron, it get oxidized to NAD+, and this electron is donated to FMN, that is flavin mononucleotide carrier of the complex 1. Later, this FMN donate that electron to FES cluster. There are several FES cluster in the complex 1. So FMN will transfer this electron to FES cluster, during which small amount of energy is released, and this released energy is utilized for pumping of 2 protons from matrix to intermembrane space. So one thing you have to note in the electron transport system is, along with the transport of electron, even there is a transport of proton or pumping of proton from matrix to intermembrane space. So the energy that is released during the transport of electron from FMN to FES is utilized for pumping 2 proton from matrix to intermembrane space. Now the electron is present in FES cluster. So from the FES cluster, the electron is transported to mobile carrier, that is ubiquinone, during which again small amount of energy is released. and this released energy is utilized for pumping 2 more proton from matrix to intermembrane space. So 2 plus 2, 4. So totally 4 proton is pumped from matrix to intermembrane space via complex 1. Now the electron is present in ubiquinone. So ubiquinone, after receiving 2 electrons from FES, it get reduced to ubiquinol, that is UQH2. So now the electron is present in ubiquinol. This ubiquinol now donate that electron to cytochrome B carrier of complex 3. So that is how the mobile carrier, that is ubiquinone, will transfer the electron from complex 1 to complex 3 by diffusing through the membrane. So ubiquinol will diffuse through the membrane and it will transport the electron from complex 1 to complex 3. Apart from that, this ubiquinone can also receive electron from the complex 2. As I already told, complex 2 has a carrier like FES and FAD+, and this complex 2 will get the electron from the FADH2. FADH2 is produced during the Krebs cycle, and Krebs cycle takes place in the matrix itself. So during the conversion of succinate to fumarate, FADH2 is produced. Now this FADH2 will donate 2 electron to this complex 2 and FADH2 is oxidized to FAD+. Now this 2 electron is received by the FES cluster of the complex 2. Later this FES cluster will donate this electron to ubiquinone. This ubiquinone, after receiving 2 electron, it will be converted into ubiquinol, and this ubiquinol transfer that electron to cytochrome B carrier of the complex 3. That is how ubiquinol will transfer electron from the complex 2 to complex 3. So this mobile carrier, that is ubiquinone, will transfer the electron from complex 1 to complex 3 as well as will transfer the electron from complex 2 to complex 3. The only difference is the complex 2 will not pump any proton from matrix to intermembrane space. The complex 1 has pumped 4 protons from matrix to intermembrane space, but complex 2 will not pump any protons from matrix to intermembrane space. During the transfer of electron from ubiquinol to cytochrome B carrier of complex 3, small amount of energy is released, and that released energy is utilized for pumping 2 proton from matrix to intermembrane space. So during that, 2 proton is pumped from matrix to intermembrane space. Now the electron is present in cytochrome B carrier of complex 3. So from the cytochrome B, the electron is pumped to FES cluster, and later from the FES cluster, the electron is carried or donated to cytochrome C1 of complex 3. Again, during which 2 more protons are pumped from matrix to intermembrane space. So 2 plus 2 is 4. So 4 protons are pumped from matrix to intermembrane space through this complex 3. Now the electron is present in cytochrome C1 carrier of complex 3. Later, this cytochrome C1 will donate that electron to another mobile carrier, that is cytochrome C. So cytochrome C now will donate that electron, or it will transfer that electron from complex 3 to complex 4. So cytochrome C will diffuse through the membrane and it will transfer the electron from complex 3 to complex 4. So cytochrome C will donate the electron to cytochrome A carrier of complex 4. Later, this cytochrome A carrier will transfer the electron to cytochrome A3, and this cytochrome A3 carrier will finally donate 2 electrons to oxygen atom. So oxygen atom is a terminal receiver and cytochrome A3 is a terminal donor of 2 electrons. So cytochrome A and cytochrome A3 both have copper center, and this cytochrome A and cytochrome A3 complex together will bring 2 electron, 2 proton and 1 oxygen atom to produce water. So finally water is produced with the help of complex 4. Meanwhile, there is a release of a small amount of energy, and that energy is utilized for pumping 2 proton from matrix to intermembrane space. So with the help of or through the complex 4, 2 proton is pumped from matrix to intermembrane space and a molecule of water is produced with the help of cytochrome A and cytochrome A3 complex, which will bring together 2 electron, 1 oxygen atom and 2 proton to produce a molecule of water. So that is how electron is transported through different carriers in the inner mitochondrial membrane, and meanwhile several protons are pumped from matrix to intermembrane space. So that is all about the electron transport system. In the next video I'm going to talk about ATP synthesis. So I hope this video is useful. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.